Get ready to enter the Thrive Time Show.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
We started from the bottom, now we're on the top. Teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of five, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the C&Z up on your radio. And now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get.
Now, I want to ask you this here because I see a lot of entrepreneurs. You know, I've consulted with countless companies. I see a lot of entrepreneurs, they have something on a Post-it note, something in an email.
Yeah, they're all over the refrigerator and lampshades and all over.
Yeah, they've got all these ideas that are all floating around. But you say in your book, you say something that in your book that in my mind is totally non-congruent with what 95% of people are doing. You say you only have one life, so you have only one calendar and planner. Yeah. Why is it so important to have just one calendar and planner, my friend?
Well, I remember way back, my wife had, you know, your insurance company sends you these calendars with mountain scenes or animals, and you take a thumbtack, you stick it next to the phone, and you're writing things on there, and my wife's writing things on there, and then you have one, and then you have that beautiful one on your desk.
Oh, yeah, the beautiful one.
Your parents gave you for Christmas. It really looks nice, and big gold thread in it.
Yeah.
And you got one in your pocket. And so now you got your schedule so screwed up. You got some in there and some in there and some in there. You just put it all in here. Your personal life, your business life, everything's in one calendar. And that's way you're not, you can only record in one place. You cannot keep up. Most people can't even keep up with one calendar, let alone 2 or 3.
So if someone's watching this right now, an action step they can take is just get it all into one place.
Yeah.
If you got
one life, one calendar. You don't have a business life and a personal life. You got to get it all done. You got to figure it out.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you a little story time here. A little story time. Can you share with us an example of where and when you planned out your schedule when you were, at Disney, you're managing 40,000 people. I mean, so your routine, I guess, was then you would just get to the place around 6 and you'd kind of sit in your quiet space, or what was a typical day like for you there?
I would say 90% of the time I did at my office at 6:15 in the morning.
Okay.
If I was not going to go to the office, I was taking a flight, I might get to the airport 15, 20 minutes early and do it there. I might do it before I left home. Even today, I don't do that anymore at the airport because I go there and walk for an hour to get 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 steps in because I'm compulsive, crazy, and I need to get my...
True story. You are now, I'm not going to mention your age, let's just say you're north of 34.
Yeah.
And this morning, you were in Tulsa visiting, and I had a text from someone who said about 6:45, you were already up walking and getting the day going. How many miles a day do you walk, my friend?
I walk on average 7 or 8 miles a day, but I tell people the reason I do that, I'm in the ozone. And the people say, what's the ozone? I said, the obituary zone. I'm going to be 71 soon. I got more at stake than you do.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah.
6 or 7 miles
talk about
a day.
time management.
Do you listen to any music or anything while you're walking around, or you listen to a lot of...
I just think about what's happening. I don't listen.
Really?
I don't put any earphone. You get run over that way.
I'm surprised you're not listening to the Rocky soundtrack or something. Okay, all right.
I don't know. Nothing in my ears, nothing anywhere.
Okay.
In fact, I would recommend people quit walking around with things in their ears.
Okay, all right.
I'm wondering, what's your problem, guy? Get rid of that thing.
Well, okay, this just in here. Now, step number two. You want to schedule time for what matters most. So we're already in the place. We've scheduled a time, but now we have to schedule time for what matters most. Now, Lee, on page 28 of your book, you basically encourage everyone to start asking themselves something that at first could seem negative. It says, in what areas are you not happy? Can you talk about why that's so important?
Well, I think people just get stuck in this and they accept unhappiness, or they accept bad health, or they accept not having the right contacts, and people accept all this stuff. And if you'll sit down and tell yourself, okay, I am not happy with my health, then what are you going to do about it? And that's what I do. I have a routine. I schedule my workouts. I have a goal every day to walk at least 13,000, 14,000 steps. I fit them in. Sometimes I do it in the house. It drives my wife crazy because I walk while the TV's on.
You're walking in the house.
And she says, I speak to you and then you're gone. I don't get an answer. But I do it at the airport. I do it this morning. I did it in my room. Dr. Z's.
Are you serious? You
Yeah.
walked around the room?
Yeah, I got 5,000 steps in because nobody was up, so what am I going to do? And it
Yeah.
was cold out, so I came back in and did it in the house. But yeah, I just, and then I have a trainer twice a week where I do strength training, so I don't fall and break a hip one day and end up in a wheelchair or a hip replacement and die of pneumonia in the hospital or whatever happens, because you never recover. You never come back to where you were. So is it worth a couple of times a week to build strength? For all the people watching, a lot of these are young people, but after 50, they say strength training is more important than aerobics. So you got to schedule it. You got to schedule the priorities in your life, or they won't happen. Especially things that hurt, like working out.
Now I'm going to read off some of the questions that you list specifically in page 28 of your book, because when you read your book on time management, The Magic of Time Management, there are some questions you ask that are punishing. They are tough, they are difficult, they are questions that I honestly believe that most people never take the time to ask themselves. So here we go. The first one is, what don't you like about your life? We talked about that. But then the second is, what don't you like about your health? Lee, why are you so adamant about that? I know you talked about it, but why are you so adamant about asking, everyone watching this needs to ask themselves, what don't you like about your health? Why is it so important?
Because I've seen it change my life. I took this course back in, I was about 30 years old. I was very disciplined, but I wasn't organized. I was disciplined. I'd get things done, but I was working late at night, taking work home, coming in on Saturday and Sundays, until I learned a system to how to be working on the right things at the right time. And so all of a sudden I started getting results. And when I started scheduling my workouts, I got healthier. I lost 20 pounds. I was stronger. When you start to see the results of scheduling the priorities in your life, and somebody asked recently on the internet, said, say one word that describes your life, and I put down, I was the only one that had the right answer. I said complete.
Complete.
A lot of people said, awesome, great, and they're all lying because their life's not great. And you got to, you know, you got all these things. If you don't get balance or rhythm in your life, you're not spending time, you got the right amount of time with your children, the right time with your wife, the right time with your health, the right time with your investments. You got it, all this comes together to create either a pretty good life or a pretty sad life if you don't if you let one of those get away from you. If you get really rich and you lose your family,
What's
or
the
you
point?
lose your health,
Yeah.
and let me tell you, I tell people the one thing you're going to have the biggest regret about, everybody, is if you lose your health and you could have done something about it because you just didn't think you could find the time.
Let me ask you this question. Question number 3 in your book, you say, what don't you like about your job, your friends, your relatives, or your salary? I mean, that's a lot of questions, and it seems pretty intense. So what do you mean by this?
Well, in my own life, you know, I worked for Hilton for many years, and I was unhappy with, I had one day off. I was unhappy with my boss, who was not the kind of boss I enjoyed. He
Not the kind of boss you enjoyed.
He was not a good person. He was a mean guy, yelled and screaming. So I quit. I changed my environment. I took another job. I got fired in that job. I took another job, got to Marriott, had a great career for 17 years. Then I got passed over. Then I quit again, went to Disney. You know, I think I'm not going to get stuck in a place that I'm unhappy about my job. I'm not being treated. People don't appreciate me.
What about
I'm going to stay there.
What about your friends? You said you're not happy with. What don't you like about your friends? Well, that seems like a pretty tough question. What are you talking about there?
I think if most people look around, they don't have as many friends as they think they do. A friend to me is somebody, if I say, Clay, Priscilla and I and the kids need to move in with you for a couple of years till things work out here. And you say, no problem.
Can I give you a boom? That's going to happen. We'll make that happen.
Or, okay, no questions asked. Send me a check for $50,000. I got a little problem, and don't be quick. Just I'll pay you back. I don't want you to sign any promissory notes and all that rigmarole. We'll get lawyers involved here. How many friends do you really have? Not too many. People, they'll scatter. You'll never hear from them again. I was out of a job once, and I thought I had a lot of friends. People didn't even return my phone calls because you think people are going to help you. So I have a few, and my wife has a few, and we have a few, and we pay attention to those. But we don't pay attention to everybody as a friend. And
what do you not like about your relatives? What do you mean by that?
well, I've got relatives who got issues. They need money. They got all kinds of problems. They're not taking care of their children properly. We had get involved in this. Unemployed. You know. And
see, for me, that was a big thing when I read your book, and then also earlier on in my career when I read Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, and I read John Maxwell's book, 21 Laws of Leadership. I kept discovering over and over, it's so important who you choose to spend your time with. And I noticed that I was spending time with people that weren't helping me. They weren't uplifting me. They weren't encouraging. They didn't have that. Like, they didn't have my back, like what you're talking about. If you called them because your car broke down, they weren't there. They weren't there to support you. And I think it's so important for anyone watching this as an action step. We need to look right now at our job, at our friends, at our relatives, at our salary, and ask ourselves, in what areas am I not happy? And maybe I'm at a job where the job's great, but maybe I'm not bringing the effort I need to bring every day. Or maybe...
Or you're making a lot of money, but you don't like the job. You're going to do this for 40 years and be out there unhappy and come in complaining all the time and go home and having arguments with your wife because you're unhappy at work. And
Or maybe you're not the friend that you should be to those people, or maybe they're not the friend to you they should be, or maybe but if you take the time to think about these items and you think about them, boom, 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 asking yourself, what do I not like about my friends and my job? It seems like if you take time to reflect, you'll begin to be proactive about these things, right? You're not just reacting.
I mean, I have 4,758 friends on Facebook.
Oh yeah, boom.
But my main goal is to sell them a book. not for them to move in with them.
Now, what is the biggest? You ask in your book here. You say, what is the biggest problem in your personal life? Now, it seems like you're getting kind of personal here. What do you mean by that?
Your personal life's pretty personal, actually. And I think you just got to reflect. You got to be honest with yourself. Is it your marriage? Is it your children are not doing well in school?
Yeah.
Is it your health? Are you really suffering? You got diabetes. You're overweight. You need whatever the issue is. What is it really?
Yeah.
Once when you say, this is my biggest problem, I would tell people every day in your planner or your phone, you should have your biggest problem in there and you should work on it every day till it goes away.
Yeah.
Every day. Not like, and the reason people don't do that, it's hard.
Well, I know that our son was born blind back in 2007. And until that point, I was not scheduling time to take my wife on dates consistently.
She mentioned that to me. I was surprised.
Oh, well, I was not doing that. That's true. I wasn't doing it. And it took, though, that tragic event of some of the stuff we were dealing with my son to realize, I don't even have time in my schedule to go to these appointments for his medical appointments, let alone I hadn't spent time with my wife. And I sat down with a mentor and I was asking him for some tips on how to get through this situation and what I could do to stay positive. And he said, how often are you taking your wife on a date? And when I was asking myself, I was like, I don't think I've taken her on a date for at least 7 years, maybe 6 years. I mean, it was pretty sad. And so when I would ask myself what I didn't like about my personal life, if I was doing that every day, I would have honestly said, I'm not being the husband I should be. And I just think it's so important that we're asking ourselves these questions, because a lot of times by asking ourselves these questions, looking at the man in the mirror, we can begin to make some big changes as long as we...
Hey, listen, there's only two reasons people change. You did because you were educated by somebody who told you what to do. Or crisis. Your wife leaves you.
Yeah. Or
you're having a lot of arguments. Education or crisis. And hopefully this is education.
Yeah.
So some people are going to change. Some people are going to change eventually because of crisis. I mean, I changed toward my own wife. She almost died in 08, 09. I took care of her for almost 2 years. Ended up with depression. I told her after, I said, Priscilla, I used to love you. Now I'm madly in love with you. I thought you were going to die.
Yeah.
It crisis. It shakes you up and puts you in another place. And hopefully most people can get ahead of it. Don't end up changing because of a crisis. After the divorce, you become a better person. Or after your kids are in drug rehab, you start paying more attention to them. Or this is...
We encourage, if you're watching this right now, to kind of create that sense of urgency right now. Like, don't wait for it to get bad with your health or your finances or your marriage or whatever that situation is. Go ahead right now and ask yourself these questions. I know in your book you said, the next question is, what is the biggest problem in your work life? What are you talking about there?
Well, when I was at Hilton, my biggest problem in my work life was my boss.
Okay.
And one day a week off, Thursdays.
Thursdays.
So I had no home life. I was out of control. It wasn't great. My wife wasn't happy about it. You just have to, maybe it's a project that's biggest problem in your business life is a project you've been putting off because you don't know how to do it. So it's really important and it's vital, and your boss is going to bite you one day because you haven't done it. And you don't know how to go out and get other people to help you and get started.
It might be an uncomfortable question for you, but I want to ask you, because you've been in business for a long time. Was there ever a time in your career where you think back upon yourself in your own career where you said that you were your own biggest problem in your work life? I mean, did you ever have like a character flaw or some issue where you were like, this is definitely limiting my work life and my career?
And it did. I was autocratic. I was so organized that I abused people. I used my authority in the wrong way. I intimidated people so they got their job done. I got a lot done, but I'm sure if I was in the middle of the street, they would have run over me on purpose. And yeah, I was that way. And it was going to affect my long-term career, because you don't get promoted, you don't get into higher level positions if you're autocratic and pushing people around and scaring people and not treating people respectfully. And I had to learn that lesson, but it was 15 years into my career where I went through kind of a tough time.
Pretend that I'm a third grader doing life here, running a business or starting a career. What do you mean by autocratic, just so I get that?
Well, I think when I pull in the parking lot and everybody's running away from my car in the morning, that's probably a bad sign.
Probably Darth Vader action there.
If nobody wants to come tell me the truth because I overreact, or I don't want to hear it, or I tell them just go do your job and don't get into, autocratic. And it's like parents, you don't ever want to scare your kids. You want them to feel safe. I want people at work to feel safe. So then they can give you 150%. If they're always worrying about how to deal with you and manipulating you. And
Darth Vader was tough to work with. He always worried he was going to choke you or kill you or whip out the lightsaber.
They all get it in the end. All those kind of people get it in the end.
Now I want to ask you this here. The final question you ask on page 28 of your book there is you say, what are you going to do about it? I mean, so you ask yourself these questions, but then it's, what are you going to do about it? What do you mean by that question?
Well, it's like me, and what am I going to do about getting stronger and being in better shape as I get older? I signed up for it, and for 5 years I've been seeing this guy. Signed up. I pay him in advance, so I have to go. I have an appointment, 9 o'clock, Tuesday and Friday.
This is your trainer?
Yeah. What are you going to do? I see my internist twice a year. I schedule both of those. I see my urologist twice a year. I schedule those. I see my dentist twice a year. I schedule those. I'm not going to get a tooth infection. It goes down and gets, and then have to have your teeth replaced and surgery. You pay now or you pay later in life. Yeah. You either pay attention to your kids back here or you visit them in rehab. Or you take them lunch up to the prison. You pay or you pay.
And it's not that you're mean. You're being practical here. You're just saying if you don't do this, this is going to happen.
Absolutely. You don't pay attention to your family and your wife, her new husband will enjoy your home.
All right. Now here you go. Now, that's such a notable quotable. If you don't pay attention to your wife, her new husband will enjoy your home. Okay, now over the years, Lee, as I've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs, I've always encouraged them to think about their goals in terms of spirit, mind, body, relationships, and finances. Again, thinking about their whole life, asking themselves, what are my goals for spirit, mind, body, relationships, finances, trying to think pretty holistically there. What areas would you recommend Thrivers should focus on? Or do you focus on?
Mine are basically my health, my family, and my finances.
Your health and your family and your finances.
And my wife says, that's good, Lee, I don't care. And it's really health, family, back and forth, because she said, if you don't take care of yourself, Lee, you can't take care of us. And I think that's a good quote, and it's right, and you won't be there for your family, and finances, if you don't make money and do well, you can't take care of your family, and you can't take care of giving to nonprofits, and you can't take care of helping other people or homeless. When you make a lot of money, you can give a homeless guy 20 instead of 1.
Yeah.
So he can get a couple beers and a sandwich. So that's what I think about it. There's certain things, people say, oh, money doesn't make you happy. Well, that's a good quote, but I don't know who said that, but...
Well, you're certainly happier with a little bit extra money.
Absolutely.
Now, I've heard you say this notable quote where you say, make time for what matters. You will never find the time. Make time for what matters. Yeah. You will never find the time.
You hear people say this all the time. They say, I'm going to start exercise as soon as I find time. Oh, really?
Oh, really?
You and I and Albert Einstein have 160 hours a week. You're not going to find any extra time, not 1 second. You're going to get as much as I have. We're all on a level playing field with time. Maybe not money, but on this. And you have to make time for what's important. You don't find time to work out. You make time. You schedule it. You don't find time to work on your retirement plan. You schedule a meeting with an advisor, and you go see him, and you do what he tells you. And you don't find time to spend with your children, you make time. You schedule for Saturday morning to go spend some time with them.
Now, I've talked with countless thrivers so far who are on the website who have told us that they're just by carving out 15 minutes a day, just 15 minutes, that they've been able to learn stuff that's helped them change their lives. We have one lady who's been able to almost double her business this year. Another guy I talked to today who's been able to go from being a school teacher to being a very, very successful entrepreneur just by scheduling that time for 15 minutes a day to learn. What would you say to the person who says, I can't find 15 minutes a day to learn? I just don't have the time. I just can't find. What would you say to that person?
I would say they fall into this category of can't do attitude.
Can't do.
The problem is with those can't do, we're going to talk about them I think a little bit, but can't do people actually believe their excuses. They believe it. I need to hire people who believe they can change, and they do have impact, and don't underestimate what you can do in life, and raise the expectations for yourself and for your people, and raise your expectations. But a can't-do person, well, it's my mother's fault, there's no jobs around, you can't make any money, that, blah, blah.
Well, I want to ask you this because you're running Disney World. You have 1 million people a week. Some people are getting sick at the park every day. Someone rides a ride, they throw up.
People don't get sick at Disney.
Okay.
No, I'm okay.
people aren't feeling good. There's emergencies every day. There's employees going through divorce. Someone in their family died. Someone at the park had a heart attack. You go on and on and on. How were you able to find time to think proactively while managing Disney World? It had to feel overwhelming.
Yeah, and I think in your whole life you got to think about what could happen and then practice for that. We handle 9/11 like perfect because we do simulations. We do them twice a year. We have a company that puts us through them. 3 o'clock in the morning you get a call. We got to open the command center in 30 minutes. We got to get 24 people in there. We got to start getting schedules, talk to the radio station, get to the newspaper. We train and practice so much that when it happens, we just naturally do it. It's like you all here in Oklahoma. I hope you've already decided which room you're going into when you got 20 seconds for a tornado. Mm-hmm. That's probably not the time to have a family meeting.
Hey guys, let's have a quick meeting.
Anticipate. Okay. If you got a swimming pool, anticipate. Your kids could drown. Get a pool or fence around it. Get an alarm on it. Don't, I'm going to do it, and you didn't do it, and then the child drowns. Anticipation's huge. If you got teenage kids, anticipate what can happen. Have those discussions with them before it happens. Anticipation's a huge time saver.
Anticipation is a huge time saver.
Anticipating what can happen and then making the right steps to make sure it doesn't happen.
Now I want to ask you, I want you to unleash kind of a truth cannon here. It might be uncomfortable, but in what areas are most business people? You speak all over the world, in all different countries. You spoke in Kuwait, I think. You've spoken in Italy. You're all over the place. And what areas are most business people and entrepreneurs all around the world really missing it when it comes to scheduling time for what matters most in your mind?
Yeah, I think an entrepreneur can get so locked into their work that they really let the rest of their life get away from them. And I'm sure there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are not very healthy. They're not living a healthy life. Then they all start drinking, and then they start taking pills, and then they start smoking because of the stress. And one way to relieve stress is exercise. Hot water and exercise, those are two big deals.
Hot water?
Yeah, sit in the hot tub, oh man, you come out of there feeling like a new person. And people don't do these things, and they focus when you focus on one thing only, a lot of things around you are going to be affected. And I think this is probably what they have. They don't know how to get the balance. It's not so much you have to spend 20 hours a week with your wife, but when you're there, pay attention.
Yeah.
Even if it's an hour, pay attention. Pay attention to your kids, not just be in the room with them.
Right.
Listen to them. Get them up on your lap. Talk to them. Kids don't care if you spend 6 hours with them a day or 2 hours or 5 hours. It's like, are you focused on them? Do they know that it's safe to come to you and talk to you, and that you appreciate them, and you show that when you walk in the door? And
well, you write here in your book, you say that most people are not getting the total value out of their technology devices. And that's sort of a notable quote that shocked me a little bit because, you like to think that in the world of technology, all these entrepreneurs with all these busy schedules you're talking about, that you would like to think they're getting more efficient. But you're saying that most people are not getting the total value out of technology devices. What do you mean by that?
Well, I just saw little things this week with Deidre calling me to put me through like 10,000 podcasts.
Yeah.
And I liked her texting it to me. I don't want her to call me. Because first of all, I can read her text and put it in my planner, but also if we get on the phone, we'll spend another 3 or 4 minutes, blah, blah, blah. And
just a clarity for
just tell me the time and date you want me. That's all I need to know from you.
Just quick clarity for all the Thrivers watching. Deidre is one of our publicists at Thrive, and she's been scheduling some podcasts with you there's a lot of shows that want to interview you about a lot of entrepreneurs, myself included. You go, we manage a staff of 50 at our peak. I've managed a staff of close to 100 different people, and you're managing 43,000 people. And so a lot of people want to know, how in the world could you do that? And so Deidre's been scheduling these, our publicist, and she texts you, and you like the fact that it's very effective. Just boom, boom.
It's right there. And really, when you think about it, you got from 6 in the morning till 5 or 6 at night, and if you can't find 15 minutes to do a podcast, or 30 minutes, right in there. It'll fit right in there. Bam. I can fit right in there when I'm driving home in the car. I can pull over, have that conversation, do it. I think people don't schedule things because they're already overwhelmed with everything else in their life.
Yeah.
It's a defense. They only have 2 things in their calendar today, but they're like, I can't do anymore.
I can't do anymore.
Because they have too many fires breaking out.
Let me ask you this now. Step 3 in your system is prioritize your to-do list.
Yeah.
Now, Lee, the time management system that you developed while managing the world's largest theme park, in attempting to not go crazy, that involved you prioritizing your to-do list. Because we have a to-do list. We all make a list of all the things we need to do, but we need to prioritize them. So the first is urgent. The second is vital, and the third is important. So in your mind, what does urgent mean again?
Say you got 10 things to do today.
Yep.
You wrote them down, you put them in there, they're good things. You've
Yep.
done a good job of identifying them. 2 or 3 of those are urgent because maybe your boss said, I want this by 10 o'clock.
Okay.
You get in at 6 in the morning. That's urgent, 10 o'clock. It may not even be important to you.
Right.
It is urgent. Or your wife says, please call me by noon because I want to make this decision on buying these airline tickets. You got to do it. It's urgent. So you put an asterisk next to it. So you got 2 or 3, and then you decide which one you're going to do first. Urgent is it's been imposed by you, or it's been imposed by your boss, or your wife, or one of your people calls you and said, I need to hear from you by 10 o'clock this morning because I need to have an advance on my pay, and please call me right away. It's urgent. So those are pretty simple. They're urgent because they're urgent.
Urgent's the most important.
Yeah. And I think about urgent as it needs to be done by a certain time. It's already been determined, or by sometime today it's got to get done. Can't wait till next week.
And vital's the second category, and that is stuff that needs to be done, but maybe not today.
The long-term things that you might spend 6 months, a year, 2 years on, but when you get finished, the outcome is really great.
Okay.
And it might even be your health. I tell people, quit looking at these ads about lose 5 pounds the first week. Lose 5 ounces.
Yeah.
5 ounces, 5 ounces a week. 250 ounces, 15 pounds a year. And then it sticks. And so you get the vital. I'm going to retrain it. I'm going to write a book. That's a vital. If you don't start on vital tasks, most people don't do the big things because they don't get started.
What's the difference between urgent and vital?
Vital, let's say I want to write a new book. It's vital that I get started. Because if you want to write a book, you got to write. So today all I'm going to do is one thing. I'm going to talk to a publisher about it. Or I'm going to think up a title in the chapter titles.
Okay.
That's all. And then next day I'm going to do this. Next day I'm going to do... to write a book, it's just, you do about 150 things over a year. There's nothing big in your life.
But urgent has to happen today,
Right.
and vital's sort of like the next priority.
Right. It's big things in your life that you'll spend 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years.
Little progress.
But at the end, the payoff is big.
Now the third is important.
Important. Those are routine things, You got to get your car in to have the oil changed. You got to get your air conditioner fixed for the summer's coming. You've got to get the scheduling done by Friday. It's Monday now. It's important. But
On a very practical level, you make a list of all the things you need to do, and you're going through and you're writing next to them. Is this urgent? Is this vital? Is this important? And if something is urgent, hell or high water, you've got to get it done today. And then vital is sort of that next level, and then the next level is important. Is that right?
Yeah.
Now,
and even urgent, you could call your boss and say, could I have a couple more days? And then you could make it not urgent. You could work on, you negotiate those. But they are what they are. They're in your planner. You're looking at them, and they're either urgent, they're vital, you got to do them. The big thing, if you're in a business and you say, it's vital that I retrain all my people.
Yeah.
That's going to take weeks and months. But when you finish that, your customers get better service, people are more productive, people have more security about their jobs. a big thing turns out to be a big payoff.
You've seen this. I mean, you've managed every kind of person. With 40,000 people, you've seen likes to show up late guy. You've seen super ambitious guy who gets everything done. You've seen likes to fight guy. You've seen dramatic lady. You've seen get her done lady. You've seen mom with chronically sick kids. What kind of things do you see that people start to do, the weird kind of stuff or unproductive things when they don't take the time out to prioritize things like this?
Well, one thing they do is they get late on all their work. It's due Friday at 5, and they got 12 reasons why it can't get it done. They're not a high value person. When you ask for somebody to take this on, they don't raise their hand because they're so stressed out from they're not very well organized. Low energy because they're not fit, so low energy. So you kind of close the door and wish the day would go by because you're unproductive because you drank 12 beers last night,
Well, what do you say to someone who...
I think in business, alcohol, drugs, it's a big time.
It's a big
waster.
thing.
It's a big problem.
Do you think it affects about a quarter of the workforce? Or
No, I think.
I mean, you manage 40,000 people, so I'm asking you your opinion.
They say in business, 5% of your people are stealing from you.
Yeah.
Maybe even higher. They're stealing 3 to 5% of your money.
Wow.
Or products. I would say 15% of people in the workforce are on antidepressants.
Really?
Half of them have a problem in their married life that.
Pretty big.
I always say in America, when I say, "Hey Clay, how you doing?" You say, "Great." Now you may be true, but most people are lying.
Now, I want to ask you this. What do you say, because I've seen this happen. A lot of times I go into small businesses, and I go into a meeting, okay? So if you can picture this. I'm going to a meeting with a small business. Particularly, I worked with a business in the medical business in Texas. And I go in for a staff meeting. It's an all-staff meeting. All the staff's required to be there. They brought me in to speak. I'm excited. Hopefully they're excited. They're there. And nobody at the meeting has a piece of paper to write down any notes. And it made me crazy. But then when you talk to some of the people, they say, well, no, I'm just kind of memorizing what I need to do. I don't like to write stuff down. I kind of have it up here. What would you say to that person?
I like those people. There's more opportunity for me because about only 5% of the people are very effective in the world, make things happen and get rich and get great jobs and do great work and leave a legacy. And about 95% of the people are wandering around out there in the field wondering what happened and trying to blame somebody else for all the things in their life. And let me tell you, my boss, he was great. I used to walk over, he'd say, "Lee, take care of this." And I said, "Okay." He said, "I didn't see you take out your little book and write it in there, Lee." And that's true. When I'm meeting with somebody and I'm giving them 3 or 4 things to do, you think you might want to get something out, write this down, because I'm going to follow up with you on Friday and I expect to get done. If it's not done, we're going to have an issue here because you're one of my key people. So
an action item for all the Thrivers watching this, if we're trying to learn to become productive with our time, we just need to write stuff down. You got to turn thoughts into things, put it on paper, bam, knock it out.
And I go to meetings where you see some are really doing it well and others are just like over there.
It freaks me out when people are in a meeting and they're not typing or writing it down or whatever they're doing. Now, step number 4 is you say schedule specific times to get your to-do list done. So, Lee, why do you have to schedule specific times? Let's just say we're in a meeting, there's a bunch of things I have to do. I put it on my to-do list, but why do I have to think about it and go, when am I going to do this? Why is that important?
I'd say the main thing is schedule the priorities in your life, the big things.
Okay.
So I schedule my exercise, that's a priority.
Okay.
I schedule meetings with my finance guy because it's important to me to go over it and see how he's doing, what we're doing. I schedule time with my family. Our family comes over on Sunday, we schedule them, we invite them over.
You put in a schedule for family.
When I wrote this book, or any book, I write every morning from about 8 o'clock to 10:30. It's in my schedule.
Block it off.
Block it out. You write 2.5 hours a day. The discipline to do that, then you have a book. They asked Mia Angelou, they said, "Maya, how do you write books?" She said, "I rent a hotel room, I go there, nobody knows where I am, I write from 5:30 in the morning until noon, and phone calls, no interruptions, and in about a month I got a book."
Yeah.
And people got to learn to isolate themselves. Even in my schedule, if you got a big thing to do, and it's on your to-do list down here, move it up and schedule it with yourself. Appointments with yourself from 4 to 5 o'clock.
I know when I do speaking events, if I'm on stage for 1 hour,
Yeah.
I'm going to want to spend about 5 hours prepping. That's just my ratio. Everyone's different. But for me, it's about 5 hours where I'll read it again, read it again, get familiar, read it again. So that way, if the slideshow quits working or something's a problem, I've got it up here and I've got it on paper and I've got all the different. But it's important to block out that time because it's so hard to take 5 hours in your schedule unless you block off a time. Now, Lee, a little notable quotable. You say that do the hard things and life gets easier. Yeah. Do the easy things and life gets harder. What does that mean?
Well, I think it's pretty simple. It's hard to exercise, but if you do it, you live longer, you feel better, you don't get sick, you don't have to go to the hospital, you don't have to have the surgery. If you spending your money is easy. Saving it and getting into credit card debt is hard for people because they want things. They want to charge them. They want to get them. Getting a good financial plan is not, it's easy to just ignore that. It's hard to get it together and put that money away so 40 years from now you got a good plan. It's easy to eat too much. It's hard to push back from the table. It's easy to not have a discussion with somebody in your organization who's not performing. Just let it go. It's hard to have those conversations. But if you do easy things, life gets harder. If you do the hard things, life will get simple. You'll have better performers. You'll be healthier. You'll have more finances in your place.
I know that, like when I started out my business in my dorm room, I never scheduled time to never actually sat down and scheduled specific times to get things done. And so I would go, I'm going to make that flyer to market the business, or I'm going to make that website, or and I would sit down and I would give myself an hour to do something that really took 6 hours. Or I would give myself a 30-minute window to do something that took, and so I would always kind of feel overwhelmed, and that was kind of how I felt. I started to think like, well, that's just how life is. I'm going to always feel overwhelmed. I'm just going to be, just life's challenging. That's probably all. For the rest of my life, I'm probably just that's how I'm going to feel. Now, and you talk a lot about this. I've heard you say on the stage. I've heard you say in interviews. I've heard you say when we've talked. That life is not just how it is. It's how you make it. Can you explain a little bit about your thoughts on this?
I run into people all the time. They just say, I don't feel good and I weigh 100 pounds too much. But I guess that's the way it is. And I say, no, that's not the way. There's nothing it's the way you let things be is the way they are. If you let your kids run around and be crazy and not have good manners and attend school and do their homework, well, you know how kids are. It's just the way it is. No.
Yeah.
It's the way it is for some parents, but it's not for the ones who want to keep that under control. And you got to just think about it. Quit using this as an excuse.
JT, do you know what time it is?
4:10.
It's Tebow time in Tulsa, Jerusalem, baby. Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma, June 27th and 28th. We've been doing business conferences here since 2005. I've been hosting business conferences since 2005. What year were you born?
1995.
Dude, I've been hosting business conferences since you were 10 years old, but I've never had the two-time Heisman Award-winning Tim Tebow come present. And a lot of people, have followed Tim Tebow's football career on the field and off the field. And off the field, the guy's been just as successful as he has been on the field. Now, the big question is, JT, how does he do it?
Well, they're going to have to come and find out because I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, Tim Tebow's going to teach us how he organizes his day, how he organizes his life, how he's proactive with his faith, his family, his finances. He's going to walk us through his mindset that he brings into the gym, into business. It is going to be a blasty blast in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Also, this is the first Thrive Time Show event that we've had where we're going to have a man who has built $100 million net worth.
Wow.
Who'll be presenting. Now, we've had a couple presenters that have had $1 billion net worth in some like real estate sort of things.
Yeah.
But this is the first time we've had a guy who's built a service business and he's built over $100 million net worth in the service business. It's the yacht driving, multi-state living guru of franchising. Peter Taunton will be in the house. This is the founder of Snap Fitness, the guy behind 9 Round Boxing. He's going to be here in Tulsa, Jerusalem, Oklahoma, June 27th and 28th. JT, why should everybody want to hear what Peter Taunton has to say?
Oh, because he's incredible. He's just a fountain of knowledge. He is awesome. He is inspired me listening to him talk. And not only that, he also has, he practices what he teaches. So he's a real teacher. He's not a fake teacher like business school teachers. So you got to come learn from him.
Also, let me tell you this, folks. I don't want to get this wrong, because if I get it wrong, someone's going to say, you screwed that up, buddy. So Michael Levine, this is Michael Levine. He's going to be coming. You say, who's Michael Levine? I don't want to get this wrong. This is the PR consultant of choice for Michael Jackson, for Prince, for Nike, for Charlton Heston, for Nancy Kerrigan, 34 Grammy Award winners, 43 New York Times best-selling authors he's represented, including pretty much everybody you know who's been a super celebrity. This is Michael Levine, a good friend of mine. He's going to come and talk to you about personal branding and the mindset needed to be super successful. The lineup will continue to grow. We have hit Christian recording artist Colton Dixon in the house. Now, people say, Colton Dixon's in the house? Yes, Colton Dixon's in the house. So if you like top 40 Christian music, Colton Dixon's going to be in the house performing. The lineup will continue to grow each and every day. We're going to add more and more speakers to this all-star lineup. But I encourage everybody out there today, get those tickets today. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com. And some people might be saying, well, how do I do it? What do I do? How does it work? You just go to thrivetimeshow.com. Let's go there now. We're feeling the flow. We're going to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, you just go to thrivetimeshow.com. You click on the business conferences button, and you click on the request tickets button right there. The way I do our conferences is we tell people it's $250 to get a ticket.
Yep.
Or whatever price that you can afford. And the reason why I do that is I grew up without money. JT, you're in the process of building a super successful company. Did you start out with $1 million in the bank account?
No, I did not. Nope, did not get any loans, nothing like that. Did not get an inheritance from parents or anything like that. I had to work for it, and I'm super grateful. I came to a business conference. That's actually how I met you, met Peter Taunton. I met all these people.
So if you're out there today and you want to come to our workshop, again, you just got to go to thrivetimeshow.com. You might say, well, when's it going to be? June 27th and 28th. You might say, well, who's speaking? We already covered that. You might say, where's it going to be? It's going to be in Tulsa, Jerusalem, Oklahoma. And so it says Tulsa, Jerusalem. I'm really trying to rebrand Tulsa as Tulsa, Jerusalem, sort of like the Jerusalem of America. But if you type in Thrive Time Show and Jinx, you can get a sneak peek or a look at our office facility. This is what it looks like. This is where you're headed. It's going to be a blasty blast. You can look inside, see the facility. We're going to have hundreds of entrepreneurs here. It is going to be packed. Now, for this particular event, folks, the seating is always limited because my facility isn't a limitless convention center. You're coming to my actual home office, and so it's going to be packed. So when? June 27th and 28th. Who? You're going to come. Who? You? I'm talking to you. You can just get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. And again, you can name your price. We tell people it's $250 or whatever price you can afford. And we do have some select VIP tickets, which gives you an access to meet some of the speakers and those sorts of things. And those tickets are $500. It's a 2-day interactive business workshop, over 20 hours of business training. We're going to give you a copy of my newest book, The Millionaire's Guide to Becoming Sustainably Rich. You're going to leave with a workbook. You're going to leave with everything you need to know to start and grow a super successful company. It's practical, it's actionable, and it's Tebow time right here in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Get those tickets today at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com.
Hello, I'm Michael Levine, and I'm talking to you right now from the center of Hollywood, California, where I have represented over the last 35 years 58 Academy Award winners, 34 Grammy Award winners, 43 New York Times bestsellers. I've represented a lot of major stars, and I've worked with a lot of major companies. And I think I've learned a few things about what makes them work and what makes them not work. Now, why would a man living in Hollywood, California, in the beautiful sunny weather of LA, come to Tulsa? Because last year I did it, and it was damn exciting. Clay Clark has put together an exceptional presentation, really life-changing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you then. I'm Michael Levine. I'll see you in Tulsa.
James, did I tell you my good friend John Lee Dumas is also joining us at the in-person 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show Business Workshop? That Tim Tebow and that Michael Levine will be at. Have I told you this?
You have not told me that.
Oh, he's coming all the way from Puerto Rico. This is John Lee Dumas, the host of the chart-topping EOFire.com podcast. He's absolutely a living legend. This guy started a podcast after wrapping up his service in the United States military, and he started recording this podcast daily in his home
to the point where he started interviewing big-time folks like Gary Vaynerchuk, like Tony Robbins, and he just kept interviewing bigger and bigger names, putting out shows day after day. And now he is the legendary host of the EO Fire podcast, and he's traveling all the way from Puerto Rico to Tulsa, Oklahoma to attend the in-person June 27th and 28th Thrive Time Show 2-day interactive business workshop. If you're out there today, folks, you've ever wanted to grow a podcast, a broadcast, you want to improve your marketing, if you've ever wanted to improve your marketing, your branding, if you've ever wanted to increase your sales, you want to come to the 2-day interactive June 27th and 28th Thrive Time Show Business Workshop featuring Tim Tebow, Michael Levine, John Lee Dumas, and countless big-time, super successful entrepreneurs. It's going to be life-changing. Get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. James, what website is that?
thrivetimeshow.com.
James, one more time before enthusiasm.
thrivetimeshow.com.
Shine, everything rides on tonight. Even if I got 3 strikes, I'ma go for it. This moment, we own it. I'm not to be played with because it could get dangerous. See these people I ride with. This moment, we own it.
Thrive Time Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the world's highest rated and most reviewed business workshops because we teach you what you need to know to grow.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.
And now you may be thinking, what does it actually cost to attend an in-person 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show business workshop? Well, good news. The tickets are $250 or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, they're $250 or whatever price you can afford. I grew up without money, and I know what it's like to live without money. So if you're out there today and you want to attend our in-person 2-day interactive business workshop, all you got to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com to request those tickets. And if you can't afford $250, we have scholarship pricing available to make it affordable for you.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Whoa. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. Today I'm broadcasting from Phoenix, Arizona, not Scottsdale, Arizona. They're close, but they're completely different worlds. And we have a special guest today. Definition of intelligence is if you agree with me, you're intelligent. And so this gentleman is very intelligent. I've done this show before also, but very seldom do you find somebody who lines up on all counts. And it's a Mr. Clay Clark. He's a friend of a good friend, Eric Trump. But we're also talking about money, bricks, and how screwed up the world can get in a few and a half hour. So Clay Clark is a very intelligent man, and there's so many ways we could take this thing. But I thought, since you and Eric are close, Trump, what were you saying about what Trump can't, what Donald, who's my age, and I can say or cannot say?
Well, first of all, I have to honor you, sir. I want to show you what I did to one of your books here. There's a guy by the name of Jeremy Thorne, who was my boss at the time. I was 19 years old, working at Faith Highway. I had a job at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. And he said, "Have you read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad?" And I said, "No." And my father, may he rest in peace, he didn't know these financial principles. So I started reading all of your books and really devouring your books. And I went from being an employee to self-employed, to the business owner, to the investor. And I owe a lot of that to you. And I just wanted to take a moment to tell you, thank you so much for allowing me to achieve success. And then I'll tell you all about Eric Trump. But I just want to tell you, thank you, sir, for changing my life.
But not only that, Clay, thank you, but you've become an influencer. More than anything else, you've evolved into an influencer where your word has more and more power. So that's why I congratulate you on becoming. Because as you know, there's a lot of fake influencers out there too, or bad influencers.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad you and I agree so much, and thanks for reading my books.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thrill for me today. Not a thrill, but recognition is when people, young men especially, come up and say, "I read your book, changed my life. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this."
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Whoa. Hey, I'm Ryan Wimpy. I'm originally from Tulsa, born and raised here. I went to a small private liberal arts college and got a degree in business. And I didn't learn anything like they're teaching here. I didn't learn linear workflows. I learned stuff that I am not using, and I haven't been using for the last 9 years. So what they're teaching here is actually way better than what I got at business school. And I went what was actually ranked as a very good business school. The linear workflow for us and getting everything out on paper and documented is really important. Like we have workflows that are kind of all over the place, so having linear workflow and seeing that mapped out on multiple different boards is pretty awesome. That's really helpful for me. The atmosphere here is awesome. I definitely just stared at the walls, figuring out how to make my facility look like this place. This place rocks. It's invigorating. The walls are super, it's just very cool. The atmosphere is cool. The people are nice. It's a pretty cool place to be. Very good learning atmosphere. I literally want to model it and steal everything that's here at this facility and basically create it just on our business side.
Once I saw what they were doing, I knew I had to get here at the conference. This is probably the best conference or seminar I've ever been to in over 30 years of business.
You're not bored. You're awake, alive the whole time. It's not pushy. They don't try to sell you a bunch of things.
I was looking to learn how to just get control of my life, my schedule, and just get control of the business.
Planning your time, breaking it all down, making time for the F6 in your life, and just really implementing it and sticking with the program.
It's really lively. They're pretty friendly, helpful, very welcoming.
I attended a conference a couple months back, and it was really the best business conference I've ever attended.
At the workshop, I learned a lot about time management, really prioritizing what's the most important.
Biggest takeaways are, you want to take a step-by-step approach to your business. Whether it's marketing, what are those 3 marketing tools that you want to use, to human resources.
Some of the most successful people and successful businesses in this town, their owners were here today because they wanted to know more from Clay, and I found that to be kind of fascinating.
The most valuable thing that I've learned is diligence, that businesses don't change overnight. It takes time and effort, and you got to go through the ups and downs of getting it to where you want to go.
He actually gives you the roadmap out. I was stuck, didn't know what to do, and he gave me the roadmap out step by step.
We've set up systems in the business that make my life much easier, allow me some time freedom.
Here you can ask any question you want. They guarantee it'll be answered.
This conference motivates me and also give me a lot of knowledge and tools.
It's up to you to do it. Everybody can do
these things. They're stuff that everybody knows, but if you don't do it, nobody else is going to do it for you.
I can see the marketing working, and it's just an approach that makes sense.
Probably the most notable thing is just the income increase that we've had.
Everyone's super fun, it's super motivating. I've been here before, but I'm back again because it motivates me.
Your competition's going to come eventually, or try to pick up these tactics. So you better, if you don't, somebody else will.
I'm Rachel with Tip Top Canine, and we just want to give a huge thank you to Clay and Vanessa Clark.
Hey guys, I'm Ryan with Tip Top Canine. Just want to say a big thank you to Thrive 15. Thank you to Make Your Life Epic. We love you guys, we appreciate you, and really just appreciate how far you've taken us. This is our old house, right? This is where we used to live a few years ago. This is our old neighborhood. See? It's nice, right? So this is my old van and our old school marketing, and this is our old team. And by team, I mean it's me and another guy.
This is our new house with our new neighborhood.
This is our new van with our new marketing, and this is our new team. We went from 4 to 14, and I took this beautiful photo. We worked with several different business coaches in the past, and they were all about helping Ryan sell better and just teaching sales, which is awesome, but Ryan is a really great salesman. So we didn't need that. We needed somebody to help us get everything that was in his head out into systems, into manuals and scripts, and actually build a team. So now that we have systems in place, we've gone from 1 to 10 locations in only a year.
In October 2016, we grossed 13 grand for the whole month. Right now it's 2018, the month of October. It's only the 22nd. We've already grossed a little over 50 grand for the whole month, and we still have time to go. We're just thankful for you, thankful for Thrive and your mentorship, and we're really thankful that you guys have helped us to grow a business that we run now instead of the business running us. Just thank you times 1,000.
So we really just want to thank you, Clay, and thank you, Vanessa, for everything you've done, everything you've helped us with. We love you guys.
If you decide to not attend the Thrive Time workshop, you're missing out on a great opportunity.
The atmosphere of Clay's office is very lively. You can feel the energy as soon as you walk through the door, and it really got me and my team very excited.
If you decide not to come, you're missing out on an opportunity to grow your business. Bottom line.
Love the environment. I love the way that Clay presents and teaches. It's a way that not only allows me to comprehend what's going on, but he explains it in a way to where it just makes sense.
The SEO optimization, branding, marketing. I've learned more in the last 2 days than I have the entire 4 years of college.
The most valuable thing that I've learned, marketing is key. Marketing is everything.
Making sure that you're branded accurately and clearly.
How to grow a business using Google reviews, and then just how to optimize our name through our website also.
Helpful with a lot of marketing, search engine optimization, helping us really rank high in Google.
The biggest thing I needed to learn was how to build my foundation, how to systemize everything and optimize everything, build my SEO.
How to become more organized, more efficient.
How to make sure the business is really there to serve me as opposed to me constantly being there for the business.
New ways of advertising my business, as well as recruiting new employees.
Group interviews, number one. Before we felt like we were held hostage by our employees. Group interviews has completely eliminated that because you're able to really find the people that would really be the best fit.
Hands-on how to hire people, how to deal with human resources, a lot about marketing, and overall just how to structure the business, how it works for me, and also then how that can translate into working better for my clients.
The most valuable thing I've learned here is time management.
I like the 1 hour of doing your business is real critical if I'm going to grow and change.
Play really teaches you how to navigate through those things and not only find freedom, but find your purpose in your business and find the purposes for all those other people that directly affect your business as well.
Everybody
Everybody.
Everyone needs to attend the conference because you get an opportunity to see that it's real.